Listen, there's a reason why younger men are looking up to you right now. Even if you feel invisible, even if the world makes it seem like your best days are behind you, the truth is, they're starving for something real. And you, yes, you are the only one left who can give it to them. Because masculinity isn't about the loudest voice in the room. It's not about swagger or six-pack abs or some made-up idea of alpha. Masculinity is the scar tissue you carry, the weight you've shouldered, the sacrifices nobody clapped for. And let's be honest, these boys have never seen it up close. Not real manhood. Not the kind that's built through years of getting knocked down and standing up again, fists bloody, but eyes still sharp. They're not here for another motivational speech, some half-baked platitude, or "you got this, champ." What they crave is the truth raw, unfiltered, from someone who's lived it. That's where you come in. You've walked through fire. You've paid the price for every lesson you've learned. You've been the backbone of a family, the man who does what needs to be done. No matter how tired, how beat down, how alone you felt, you know what it's like to stare into the darkness and not blink. You know that real courage isn't about looking fearless. It's about moving forward, even when your knees shake. And they're watching you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Because in a world full of fake bravado, real masculinity is magnetic. It's gravity. And brother, you've still got it. That's what this video is about. 6 chapters, 6 lessons. Not theory, not fluff, just hard-earned wisdom you owe nobody but yourself. But if you share it, you'll change more lives than you know. In this first part, we lay the foundation, the unspoken weight that only men understand. The responsibility, the quiet strength, the kind of discipline that nobody claps for but everybody depends on. You didn't get this from a self-help book. You got it the hard way by living it. And that's exactly why it's valuable. So, if you're ready to pass the torch, not with words but with fire, listen up. This is for the men who never got a blueprint, the sons who never had fathers. This is for anyone who's ever had to figure it out the hard way. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs men like you to finally speak. And if you're wondering what it really means to be the man everyone quietly leans on, even when they never say thank you, stick around for part 2. The lesson you're about to give could change everything. Every real man knows, whether he says it out loud or not, that the weight of responsibility is both a curse and a blessing. It's the invisible load that sits on your shoulders the moment you decide to be more than just another face in the crowd. You see, younger men don't just want to hear about your successes. They need to know about the nights you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, calculating risks, replaying failures, trying to figure out how you keep the lights on, how you keep a promise, how you protect your family even when you could barely hold yourself together. Responsibility isn't just paying bills or showing up for work. It's the gut-wrenching moments when you make the hard choice, the one nobody sees. It's standing in the line of fire so others don't have to. It's biting your tongue when you want to explode, swallowing your pride for the sake of peace, and going back out into a world that doesn't care how tired you are. It's every apology you made for mistakes you never even intended to make, the sacrifices you never put on your resume, the things you did not for recognition, but because that's what men do. Younger men are lost in a world that tells them masculinity is obsolete, that being needed is weakness, that being relied on is a burden. But the truth, the man who accepts responsibility without complaining, without asking for applause, commands a silent kind of respect that can't be faked. It's the iron in your backbone, the reason people sleep soundly while you keep watch. And let's not sugarcoat it. Sometimes it will break you. Sometimes you'll wonder if you're enough, if the weight is too much, if you're making any difference at all. But here's the twist. Every time you shoulder that burden and refuse to run, you get stronger. Not in the gym, not on a screen, but in the soul. That's the strength these young men are hungry for. Not the kind they can bench press, but the kind they can lean on. That's why they watch you. They see the quiet pride behind your tired eyes, the way you stand up straight, even when everything in your life is falling apart. They notice, they remember. And someday, when life hands them a load they're not sure they can carry, it'll be your example that echoes in their mind. So here's the lesson. Don't downplay the weight you carry. Don't apologize for the lines on your face or the scars on your hands. Each one tells a story. Each one is a blueprint. And right now, someone needs you to tell it straight. In the next chapter, we go deeper. What it really means to lead. Not just at work, not just at home, but within yourself. Because true leadership always starts in the mirror. And if you're ready to pass that on, Keep watching. Let's be brutally honest. Leadership isn't a position or a fancy title. It's not something you announce. It's something you live every single day in 1,000 little decisions that no one will ever see. The world will always try to sell you the image of leadership. A man barking orders, standing on a stage, being admired by a crowd. But real leadership? It happens when you're dead tired, no one's clapping, and you still do what's right because you refuse to let your standards slip. Younger men have seen leaders with loud voices and weak backbones. They're desperate to see something different. They want to know what it looks like to take the blame when things go wrong, to shoulder responsibility without needing a round of applause. They want to know how you keep moving when you've been knocked flat, when nobody believes in you but you refuse to quit. Real leadership starts with how you run your own life. Do you keep your word, even when it hurts? Do you control your emotions, or do they control you? Can you admit when you're wrong and own your failures, not just your victories? Can you make a hard call, even if it makes you unpopular? Every man will one day stand alone. No mentors, no safety net, just his own principles staring him in the face. What you do in that moment will define you for the rest of your life. Younger men aren't searching for a superhero. They're searching for a man who will show them how to stand alone, make the tough calls, and keep moving forward. That's the blueprint they need. And it's the one thing you can't fake. Because the way you lead yourself, your discipline, your self-respect, your relentless honesty sets the ceiling for everything else. It determines how high your family can rise, how safe your loved ones feel, and whether your word means anything in this world. You might not have all the answers. Hell, you'll make mistakes, but if you own them, if you show what it looks like to stand up after failing, you give younger men permission to do the same. You prove that a real leader is never above those he leads. He's simply the first to step forward when things get tough. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the one thing most men are too proud to admit: vulnerability. Why true strength isn't about never breaking. It's about knowing how to rebuild again and again. Here's a hard truth most men spend decades running from. You will break. You'll hit the wall mentally, physically, emotionally. The question isn't if, it's when. And in that moment, all the fake armor, all the tough guy routines, all the surface level bravado, it all cracks. That's when you find out who you really are. The world teaches men to bottle up pain, to grit their teeth and keep going no matter what. But here's what the next generation needs to hear from you. There is power in pain and wisdom in wounds. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the raw courage to face your darkest moments and say, I'm still here, I'm still standing. Younger men are desperate for this message. They've been sold a lie that real men never cry, never ask for help, never feel lost. But the truth is, every strong man has scars. Every strong man has fallen apart, sometimes in silence, sometimes in front of those he loves most. And every time you pick yourself up, every time you admit you're hurting, but choose to fight anyway, you teach the men around you what real courage looks like. Vulnerability is not about broadcasting your pain to the world. It's about being honest with yourself, with the people you love, with the ones who look up to you. It's about knowing your limits and reaching out when you need backup. It's about teaching younger men that it's okay to bleed, to doubt, to grieve, and that those moments don't make you less of a man. They make you human. Think about the men you respected growing up. Was it the ones who pretended nothing could hurt them? Or was it the ones who stood up, even when they were bruised and broken, and kept fighting anyway? The truth is, the next generation doesn't need untouchable heroes. They need men who show them how to survive the storm and come out stronger on the other side. So don't be afraid to let your guard down. Don't be afraid to share the lessons you learned the hard way. Your honesty might be the only thing that gives a struggling young man the courage to keep going. Next up, we talk about legacy. The mark you leave behind. What really matters when the applause fades, when the crowd goes home, and it's just you and the man in the mirror. Let's strip it all down. Every accomplishment, every dollar earned, every trophy on the shelf. When the noise dies and you're alone with your thoughts, what actually matters? What is left of you when your strength fades and the world forgets your name? That's the question younger men are wrestling with, even if they can't say it out loud. And they're watching you for answers. Legacy isn't about fortune or fame. It's not what you post online or the numbers in your bank account. Legacy is what echoes when you're gone. It's the values you stand for, the lines you refuse to cross, the way you treated people when there was nothing in it for you. It's the quiet lessons, how you shake a man's hand, how you look him in the eye, how you keep your promises even when no one's watching. Young men are desperate for something real to hold on to. They're sick of empty slogans, tired of watching so-called leaders build empires on sand. They want to know what lasts. And that's your secret power. Because every story you share, every mistake you admit, every lesson you fight to pass on, it becomes part of your legacy. It's a lifeline for the ones coming up behind you. Maybe you didn't have the perfect role model. Maybe your own father was absent, or broken, or lost. That doesn't matter now. What matters is what you do with what you have left. Every day is a chance to lay another stone in the path for someone else to walk. Younger men might not say it, but they crave your guidance. They want to see how you handled heartbreak, how you dealt with failure, how you carried yourself when you had nothing left but grit. You're writing your legacy every day with every choice, especially the ones no one sees. And here's the truth, most men learn too late. Your legacy isn't about what you take. It's about what you give. The world will try to tell you that your value is measured in things, status, titles, possessions. But you know better. You know that real value lives in character, in sacrifice, in the hands you lift up along the way. So ask yourself, when you're gone, what will they say about you? What story will your life tell? Because that story is your legacy, and right now, you have the power to shape it. And in the final chapter, we'll talk about the torch, how to pass it on. Because all the wisdom in the world means nothing if you don't share it. This is where real manhood becomes immortal. This is where it all comes together. All those years, your victories, your scars, your regrets, your quiet triumphs mean nothing if they die with you. Real masculinity is never just about the man. It's about what he leaves behind for others. And right now, whether you realize it or not, there's a generation in the dark waiting for someone to light the way. Passing the torch isn't about lectures or empty words. It's about presence, about listening when a young man stumbles through his first real failure, about giving him the truth even when it's hard to hear, about showing, not just telling, what honor, resilience, and sacrifice look like in the trenches of real life. Younger men are starved for substance. They've been handed distractions, noise, and 100 false idols. What they want, what they need, is a man who can look them in the eye and say, I've been there. I made mistakes. I paid for them. And I still stand by what matters. That's what separates a man from a boy and a leader from a pretender. Maybe you think your story is ordinary. Maybe you doubt whether anyone is really listening. But let me tell you, sometimes, the right word at the right time can save a life. Sometimes, the example you set without even knowing it becomes the compass for someone lost in the fog. Don't hold back what you've learned. Don't let shame or regret silence the truth you've earned through blood and time. There's honor in your struggle. There's power in your voice. So here's your call to action. Reach out. Speak up. Be the man you wish you'd had in your corner when you were young. Share your story. Honestly. Bravely. Without ego or apology. The torch doesn't burn out when you pass it on. It gets brighter. That's how men build legacies, families, and futures. One hard-won lesson at a time. Because in the end, masculinity isn't about dominance, bravado, or chasing shadows. It's about meaning. It's about lifting others up. It's about knowing that the fight is never just for you, but for the men who will come after. If this message hits home, if you're tired of the noise and ready for something real, join us. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and pass the torch. The world needs your story. And maybe, just maybe, so do you. Gentlemen, if you've made it this far, you know what I'm about to say isn't just for the camera. It's for every man who refuses to fade quietly, for every son looking for guidance, and for every legacy built with sweat and scars. This isn't just another video. Called to honor what you've lived, to share what you've learned, and to lift the next man up. The world doesn't need more silence. It needs your story. If something in this message lit a fire inside you, or brought back memories you thought you'd buried, don't let it end here. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us your story. because every lesson matters and every voice counts. If you're tired of hollow talk and hungry for real conversations about what it means to be a man, hit subscribe. Join this brotherhood. Because here, we build each other up. We carry the torch together. In the next chapter, we write it, side by side. Like the video, share it with a man who needs to hear it. And remember, you are not alone in this fight. Alright. See you in the next one.